So let me introduce myself. I'm Surendra Choudhary, and I have been associated with the IT industry for the last 18 years. And right now, I have been working as an Gen AI architect, where I'm helping different project teams to develop large language model based applications, AI based applications for the different customers. And then from education point of view, I am BTech, so 2002 till 2006. So I did my BTech, and then I have also done a data science program from the prestigious IM College, IM Calcutta. So yes, I am alumni, and I have vast industry experience, and I have worked on some real world projects. I mean the projects which we get from the different clients across the world, from Europe and US. So yeah, I am happy to share my knowledge. Thanks. Let's talk about what we are going to cover in this course. So this course is actually of around 11 weeks, and I have listed these 11 topics, and each topic will be covered in 1 week. So we will start with the week one, which will cover basically the fundamentals of generative AI. The first two modules, the first two topics, week one and week two, these two are more like the fundamental topics, which will strengthen your fundamentals, your basics. Okay, so the first one is fundamentals of generative AI, where we will cover what AI is in general, what is machine learning, what is deep learning, and how these fields are actually related to each other. And then we will study what is generative AI. And then we will also talk about the famous architecture on which these large language models are based. So they are based on transformer architecture, which was released in 2017. So we'll talk about the different components of the architecture, how does it work, and why it is so famous. Then we will talk about the large language models. Okay, so what are the different providers? What are closed source models? What are open source models? Who are the different providers? Okay, we will talk about the different large language models and how they are trained in general. Okay, some models are encoder only, some are decoder only, some are encoder decoder. How we started with something called as the deep neural networks, and then we started using CNNs and then RNNs, and then we moved towards GRUs, LSTMs. Okay, so we will study all those things, and in particular we will see how these large language models are trained, and then after training how they are fine-tuned, and how they actually inference. Okay, we will talk about prompt engineering as well, that how to give the prompts to these models so that they respond with some answer, and what are the best practice of writing prompts. We will also talk about the large language model tuning. Large language model tuning in the sense that there are inference parameters like defining the temperature, defining the top P, top K. Okay, so these are inference parameters which are used to affect the final output. So we will talk about all those parameters which are available. So all in all, this first week topic will cover, it will give you a brief idea that what are large language models, and how they are trained, and how we can use to make the applications. Okay, in the week two, we will study about how these large language models can be used in consumer applications. So I will be giving you some examples which will show as a part of the entire architecture, as a part of your entire ecosystem, where does the large language model sits basically. So it's not like that when we are talking about the large language model, it is the only thing which will be working, right? So large language model is just one component of your entire application. Just like we have the authentication service, we have database services, right? Similarly, LLM is just one service which will be part of your application. However, there will be other parts of it as well. So we will briefly discuss what is client server model, and how these applications work actually. So these two fundamentals, although the first two week topics are very basic and it will cover just the fundamental, but still we will do hands-on as well. For example, at the end of week one, we will also, write some code in our Google Colab notebook. We will write some code to inference one of the models which is there already deployed on the Hugging Face. We will also talk about what is Hugging Face, what are Grok, and what are these platforms actually. So the hands-on will be part of the entire curriculum in each and every week. We will not just study the theory. After understanding the concepts, we will go there and we will write some code which will help you to, solidify your concepts. So we will do some coding in each and every module. Okay, in each and every topic, we will do some coding. For example, in this one, we will inference. We will take one large language model and we will give it some input and we will see how it is generating the output. Okay, so that is one thing. In the week two as well, we will try out different open source and the closed source models. We will start with the GPT models, GPT 3.5 Turbo, 4.0, and then we will also, look how to make use of Llama 3 model and Mixtel models, Gemma models. All these are Llama, Mixtel, Gemma. So these are actually open source models which are already there in the market. So there is a platform called as the Grok. So this Grok platform actually hosts these large language models which are open source and we can readily use their APIs to invoke them. Okay, so we will see everything, okay, in detail. So as I was talking about in the week two, we will see the large language model in the consumer applications. I will be giving you some examples, and the one example which I would like to quote is some people, I mean, as a beginner, I also used to think in the similar fashion when the Chat GPT was first launched. So I thought Chat GPT itself is a large language model, which is not the case, right? So Chat GPT is a full-fledged application where large language model or the GPT models are just one part of it, right? So you can see it stores the your messages and it has a prompt. It will also save your questions in the memory so that you can do the conversation. It remembers whatever you said in your first or second command. So like that, it's a full-fledged application in which your large language model is just one part. So that's what I want to focus. The third week we will study about the lang chain. So lang chain. So what happened, if you are developing very simpler applications, then we can directly go and we can invoke the APIs of these large language models and the things are done. But if we are developing some complex applications where we have prompt template, we have different large language models, we have output parsers, we need to modify the output into a certain format. So when we are developing some complex applications, so it's not very easy to directly use the APIs which are exposed by these LLMs. Rather, we basically you know make use of certain developer or the frameworks which are actually used for the developers to build these applications easily. So LangChain and Llama Index are the most famous developers framework which are out there in the market. So we will study LangChain in a lot of detail. We will study, for LangChain, I have dedicated two different weeks, the week three as well as the week four. In the week three, we will introduce about the LangChain, what are prompts, what are prompt templates, what are message prompts, the runnable interface, chains, Grok Cloud, and LCL, which is language expression language. Okay. So this will give you an idea, how to use these frameworks like LangChain to create small chains, and then you will be able to accomplish your task. Okay. So at the end of this topic as well, we will build some application which will basically, change the different components. We will create prompt template, we will create the large language model, and then we will also create the output parsers, and then we will chain them together so that we can build one application on top of it. Okay. So we will see all these things in action. We will write code as well. In the fourth week, we will go into much depth. Okay, so the LangChain, initially it started with just couple of APIs like LangChain core, and then it started grew because when it saw that these large language models are being used by lot of people, lot of organizations are making use. So and it is becoming very difficult to use these large language models off the shelf, right? So they have started creating those structures around those large language models which can help developers to build the application. So they started just with the LangChain package, and then they made LangChain core, they made LangChain community, and now they have come up with something called as the observability platform, which is Langsmith. So what is Langsmith is? Langsmith is a platform which you can use along with the LangChain, and it will basically help you to see the each and every detail behind the scenes. Behind the scenes in the sense, as I just gave you an example, that we create chains in the LangChains, we club the different components, but but how, as a developer, you will come to know what is the input to my prompt template, what is the output from the prompt template, and then what input is going to the large language model, what is coming out, right? So when we are build some application, the user will just give his prompt and he will get the final answer. But in order to debug what is going on under the hood, we have to use these observability platforms like Langsmith, which will tell us what is going into and what is coming out of each and every component which is part of that application. Okay, so in order to debug the application, and in fact in order to understand this component more closely, what we need is we will make use of the Langsmith platform. Okay, so we will see how we can utilize Langsmith to debug our entire application. What are compose chains? We can create chains within chains, right? What are runnable parallels, runnable pass-through, and how we can start doing the streaming. Okay, so this will be the part of the topic 4. Understand how to create advanced chains into LangChain. You will learn how to make compose chains with parallels and things like that. And most importantly, after at the end of the 4th week, we will build 2 projects as well. So the first is like Wikipedia to blog post. We will create one application which will take the Wikipedia article as an input, and it will create one full-fledged blog post for you. And the second is the conversational chain. Okay, after that we will go to the environmental setup. Okay, environment setup. So as a developer, if you want to build applications using large language model, you should know how I should set up my environment. So I usually use VS Code. So as a beginner, if you are working with the Python, so we usually mess around. My project one is has a dependency on couple of libraries, but my project 2 has dependency on some other libraries. So if I end installing, if I end up installing all my libraries into my system Python environment, what will happen? Everything will be messed up, right? So there will be conflicts. So in order to avoid all those things, I will tell you how you can set up your local environment, how you can do the Python installation, why not to touch your system Python environment, rather to create your virtual environments for one for each of your projects, so that your dependencies are there in that virtual Python environment only. And then there are a couple of ways to create these virtual environments. We can use Conda, we can use PyEnv, and we can also make use of something called as the poetry. So there are different ways actually by which we can create the Python virtual environments. So we'll take a look at all those things in the week 5. Jupyter Notebooks, Google Colab. Okay, the topic 6 and the week 6 is related to the Streamlit crash course. So what happens is sometime we, if we want to learn something new, we keep on watching YouTube videos one after the other. But end of the day, if someone asks you, because this happened with me as well, so if someone asks you what you have done in the generative AI, so You actually just say that, I have studied this, I have studied that. Okay, so that but you cannot actually show something concrete and something working. Okay, so for that, what you can do is you can learn Streamlit, which will help you to create some applications very quickly. It will be you will be able to create GUI for your application. Okay, and you can showcase the functionality of your application very easily. Okay, so that's what is the use of Streamlit. We can use Streamlit as well. So these are nothing but libraries which can help you to quickly create graphical user interface using Python, and you basically focus more on your business logic rather than creating front end with the help of HTML, CSS, React, JS, so and so, right? So we will do one small crash course. So this will definitely help you to build small applications which you can show to your boss or to some interviewers that I have built this application, this is up and running, right? I hope you are understanding what I'm saying. So we will create one project as well which will be full-fledged UI working, okay, AI assistant. All right. In the week 7 and the week 8, at the heart of this generative AI is something called as the retrieval augmented generation. So what happens is when we have a large language model, let's say I'm using ChatGPT, but they do have their knowledge cut off. Okay, so they don't know about something on which they are not trained on. Correct. So what we have to do is, let's say I want my conversational chatbot to tell me about my organizational data. That data can be anything. That data can be CSV files. That data can be PDF files, the policies of my company. What is my leave policy? What is my promotion policies? If I want my chatbot to tell me, about those policies and procedures, so your ChatGPT won't be able to answer because it is not trained on your company data. So when you talk about your personal data or your company data, what you have to do is you have to create your own vector database, and you have to use the approach which is called as the retrieval augmented generation. So in this approach, what we do, we will study about what are the principles of RAG, how you can index your data, how you can vectorize your data which is there in your organization, or the data which is lying on your computer, how you can create embeddings of those content, how you can store those embeddings in some vector database like Quadrant, like ChromaDB, like Pinecone. So there are a lot of vector databases out there in the market. We will make use of those vector databases to store our content in the form of vectors. Okay, so we will study each and everything. What are these vectors, how the semantic search will be done, what is keyword search, how we can build hybrid search as well, which will do both the things. It will do keyword search and it will also do your semantic search. Okay, so that's all about the RAG, retrieval augmented generation. The concept is we have our own data, we vectorize it, our prompt will go to the vector database, it will uh, pull some relevant context, and then those relevant chunks and context along with my question will be sent to the large language model for the final answer. Now your large language model knows, okay, this is the information, this is the policy of this company, these many leaves he can avail. So with the help of those context which is being given by vector database, now large language model can answer to your question with the help of that. Okay, so that will be part of the week 2nd. In the week 8, we will study about advanced RAG. So what happens is the RAG concept, which we will talk in the week 7, it has some limitations. Okay, so there are instances when the information which you are looking for is not available and your system is not giving that information because the documents which we are talking about may be very complex. They may have some tables. The PDF which we have fed into the vector database, they may have some tables, and the tables may be 1,000 lines long, right? So that tables may have 1,000 rows. What if my I have chunked that table into several pieces and posted into the vector database? Then it will never know what is my header of the table, right? What will happen if my documents are having images? So in order to deal with all these limitations which are there in the naive RAG, what we do is we actually apply some techniques which come under the advanced RAG. So we will talk about the multimodal retrieval, the vision models, the advanced vector databases, the knowledge graphs, and evaluation matrices. Okay, so not only the text, we will also see how we can process the audio, images, and the video files, and how you know how we can build some workflows which will be integrated into our web applications. Okay, so along with each and every topic for each week, we will be doing hands-on. Okay, we will do various projects. Okay, and then after the advanced drag in the week 9 and 10, we will study about the most important part, which is like agents and advanced agents. So what is an agent and why do we need agents? Okay. So agents are, if I want to explain you in just 2 or 3 minutes, what happens is if I'm giving any prompt to my chat GPT, what is happening is whatever information I'm looking for, I may end up, writing 4 or 5 prompts. It will give me some response. Then I will write, not this one, I'm looking for this information. And then I will again instruct my large language model. It will again generate some output. So it's an to and fro. Like, so this is basically a loop, right? So I am in a loop with the large language model in order to reach to my final answer. Same thing, what the agent will do is agent will actually help me executing these loops without my involvement. I mean, this is one way of thinking about agents. Okay, so what agents usually do is they actually run in the loops. Okay, or maybe let me give you some another example. Let's say I want to, so there are patterns actually. So there are patterns in let me open up one PPT, which will help. Just a second. No, 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 no. So there is something called as action, thought, and observation. Okay, so this is basically the React pattern. Okay, by which we can we can create agents with the help of Python as well. So this is the React pattern, which starts with the thought, and then there will be some action, and then there will be some observation. So this is a loop which I was talking about. Let me give you one another example. So let's say I want to make a sandwich. So this is my thought. Okay, so my thought is that I want to make a sandwich. Now once I have the thought, I have to think, what I need actually. So what will come into my mind is, okay, I want to make sandwich, then I need bread. Now, that is my thought, I need a bread. So, the next thing which will come into my mind is how to get the bread. Is it there in the fridge? Number one. Or the alternative one. Alternative two is get it from the market. I will go to the market and buy some bread. Third alternative, should I order from Blinkit or Zapto? That is another action, right? So, there are three different ways. Okay, so I have a thought to make the sandwich, but then in order to accomplish that, I need to take some action. I may need to go to market or I need to order, right? So those are the actions. So I need to take some action. Okay, so once I do some actions, let's say I have ordered the bread from Blinkit application. So now the bread has arrived. Now I will see, is my task over? Is whatever I was looking for, have I achieved that? So observation means whatever action we have taken for my thought, or in order to achieve something, whatever action I have taken, is the result sufficient enough? Is my task done? If yes, I will exit. If not, then I will go into the loop again. So the thing is that the large language model and agent itself will keep reiterating until a satisfactory answer is achieved. Okay, this is what the basic principle of idea is. Let's say I ask you to write a poem or I ask you to write a story. So it is not like that you will start from the line 1 and then you will complete your story, okay, in just 2 3 minutes. Okay, you will go back multiple times, you will erase some lines, you will insert some lines, you will read the story again, if it is making sense or not. So they you will make multiple revisions. You will edit your story multiple times in order to reach to the final version, right? Same is the case with the agents basically try to make the it first of all it breaks your task and it will perform the task one by one until your goal is achieved. Okay, so that's at a very high level what an uh, agent is. But then we will see there are various frameworks. So as I was talking about, we have agents, we have chain of thoughts. Okay, we will say to the large language model that this is how you need to think. You need to think step by step. Okay, and then there is something called the react pattern, which I just talked about, reasoning and action, react pattern. And then the tools which I said, right? So you have access to the various tools. So with the help of those tools, my large language model, my application will take some action based on the tools which are available. Okay. So, I mean, these things may not be making much sense to you, to you guys at the moment, but once we will go into these modules, we will, start from the basics and then you will be able to make sense. So, chain of thoughts, tools, and function calling. We will study about all those things in this section, and then the advanced agents, where we have agentic racks, how to add memory, how to keep human in the loop, and what the different examples. Okay, so these agents are also created with the help of different frameworks which are there in the market. For example, AutoGen framework, you have Crew AI, and you also have frameworks from the LangChain, which will basically help you to create these agents. So these agents are also used in the framework like multi-agent systems. Okay, so we are creating multi-agent. There are multiple agents which will talk to each other, which will interact with each other to accomplish some goal. Just like in a team, we have a team of testers, we have a team who actually do the requirement gatherings, we have the team of developers, right? So each team is an expert of its own domain. In the same fashion, we have multiple agents. One agent is good at writing the poem, the other is good at judging the poem. It will read the poem, it will try to criticize the poem, it will say, I don't like the line number 4 and 5, can you revise these lines? And then the poet will again try to make some changes until, and finally we will get some version of the poem which is very good, which is very refined, which is acceptable to everyone before finally delivering it to the user. So in the world of agents, the urgency is not important that I have prompted one question to the large language model and I need the answer within the fraction of a second. No, that is not the case. Just like in the human being, if I ask someone to write a story or to do a certain task, I ask him to build something similar to the Taj Mahal, he cannot give you an answer within a fraction of a second. This is how I will make the, I mean, this is how I will make something like a Taj Mahal, right? So he needs some time to think and to review, to, right? Same is the case, right? So we will talk more about all these things. We will build projects, and then the last and final module, we will talk about what is Dockerization, what are GitHub Actions, CI/CD, and Linux. So these are something which will be helpful to you guys to actually implement the project in real life in your respective companies. So we'll build that end-to-end project. We will also deploy it on the cloud. Okay. So yeah, so this is the overall curriculum, 11 weeks, 11 topics, one topic per week, and lots of hands-on.